I am not somebody who is really that interested in superhero movies. So when I learned that they were going to be making a Batman movie without Batman in it, I thought it was a stroke of genius. And then when I learned that Joaquin Phoenix was going to be playing the role of Joker, I got even more excited. And then when I learned that it was going to be a drama and not an action movie, it was as if God himself came down from the heavens and said to me, Adam, you've been doing good. You've been working hard. This one's for you. I am somebody that when I watch a horror movie, for example, 90% of the time I am going to be rooting for the killers. That's kind of just the way that I've always been. And it's kind of the same when I watch Joker, you know? Like, throughout this entire movie, I am rooting for Arthur Fleck. Because to me, this movie really is just a dark fantasy. And as bad as it sounds, I do kind of feel like I can relate to Arthur, at least to some degree. Even from one of the earliest scenes where Arthur, he goes to see his therapist or his counselor or whatever it is, and this is the first time you see him where he can't really control his laughter. And that is exactly the same kind of thing that happens to me when I am in a therapist's office. And I do understand that Arthur does have a condition. I don't have a condition. I just have a nervous laugh. And so whenever I'm in a therapist's office, I have a very hard time keeping a straight face. And it is actually something that is like deeply embarrassing. It feels similar to if you've ever been in like a church setting and you can't stop laughing, or maybe like laughing at a funeral. It's a similar kind of embarrassment. And also, I don't really mind sharing that I have multiple old journals that resemble the one that Arthur carries around in this movie. I feel like pretty much every emo kid from the early 2000s had one of these. And not long after that, there is also a scene where Arthur is talking to his mother about his stand-up comedy. And her response to him is, well, you know, don't you have to be funny in order to be a comedian? And again, a very similar thing happened to me when I was growing up. I remember when I first told my parents that I wanted to play the drums, they just laughed in my face, okay? And it was extremely hurtful. And just for context, I am still a drummer to this day. And to this day, I still do not share my creative projects with my parents because they've never supported me in that way. Now, I will say that fortunately, that is where the parallels end, but I do think that is enough. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's enough to make me feel a connection to the character, and it's also enough for me to sympathize with him throughout the rest of the story. And now that you've learned that I feel a connection to the character of Arthur Fleck, you are very welcome to contact the authorities and put me on a watch list somewhere. But honestly, I would be willing to bet that there are a lot of people out there who feel just like me, who also feel a connection to this character. And the reason I feel so sure about that is not because I think there's a bunch of dangerous people out there. It's really just because I know that life is just really fucking hard. So if you feel sickened by this movie, I get it. But for me personally, I feel like I just have to admit that I do find it to be a very cathartic movie to watch. They say that great art will often comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. And personally, I think Joker is a very bold testament to that statement. And that's all I gotta say.